know what time it is? It's Wednesday morning. My man Mad Dog's in the house. Everybody been talking about how he got the better of me last week. I don't think so. He had a moment, but that was all. I don't know why everybody's making a big deal about it. You got Molly throwing it in my face. You got people walking around the walls of ESPN throwing it in my face. The callers on Mad Dog Radio were calling up. I heard all of you. Well, guess what? Today, he's in a world of trouble. I don't even know why you showed up. Let's go, y'all. First Take's in the house. Donkey's in the house. Holla at your boys. Woo!
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. You can see the energy is already sky high. Christopher, Mad Dog.
Hello there, Stevie.
Stephen A., I'm Molly. Great to have you back.
Oh, I love to be here. And it was a 10-8. It wasn't a 10-9 last Wednesday. It was 10-8.
Oh, please.
So that means you got knocked down two times. Not once.
Oh, please.
Three times.
Well, then that means I won the other 8 times then. How about that?
No, 10-8. It's like a fight around, baby.
No,
come on.
Ain't happening. You had a good moment.
I had a couple.
Okay, time out. Who gets to be the judge? I do. Let's go. We got a lot to discuss.
Let's go.
Blockbuster moves. Aaron Rodgers wasn't the only major quarterback news to drop yesterday. Another major move. Seattle agreeing to trade Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos for a haul. Wilson beat the Broncos in Super Bowl 48. Assuming the trade becomes official, he would be the first quarterback to start for a team it beat in the Super Bowl. The Broncos agreeing to trade quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 2022 fifth-round pick to the Seahawks for Wilson and a 2022 fourth-round pick. A franchise-altering day with the team informing All-Pro linebacker Bobby Wagner. He's being released. The 2 franchise cornerstones, Wagner and Russ, both drafted the same day in 2012 and now depart Seattle the same day 10 years later. Mad Dog.
Well,
does Russell Wilson make the Broncos legit Super Bowl threats?
I think you have to say he does. Now, he wasn't great the last year or so. He lost a playoff game with the Rams. Last year, a broken finger, but he wasn't phenomenal. So a lot of people think maybe he's peaked. But I think a fresh start in Denver, good defense, good receivers. That running back out of Carolina is very, very good that the Broncos have. Fangio built a good defense out there. I think, listen, that's a tough conference. Division's brutal. You know, Mahomes, Herbert, Buffalo, Cincinnati. There's a lot of good teams. Yeah. But does it put Denver in the conversation that they could be in the 2023 Super Bowl or 2022? Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, definitely so. I mean, you're starting off on the right foot, good doggy, right there, because it's absolutely true. A matter of fact, I think one could argue them as the favorite. I don't believe so, because I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, no doubt. But if you look at Denver, they've got a pretty damn good defense. You look at their receivers, you got a guy like Cortland Sutton. This brother can play. We know that he can ball out. You got a stout running game. The impediment to their success has primarily been about their quarterback. Period. They haven't had one really since Peyton Manning departed. It's just that simple. You had Elway, you had Peyton Manning. In between, nothing worked. After Peyton Manning, nothing really worked. We look at Russell Wilson right now, and we've got to sit up there and say, when you look at the rest of their squad right here, I mean, just look at some of these guys. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon ran for over 900 yards. We've got to take that into consideration. Again, Fant is gone, but Cortland Sutton was there. He's still there. We got to look at that. Jerry Jeudy is no joke. He got injured. We expect him to be back 100% ready to ball. When you look at their wideouts, when you look at their running game, if you are a quarterback, you can't ask for much better than that. Fant being gone obviously compromises them to some degree, because that was your tight end that you could rely upon. He's no longer there for you, because anytime you got a guy that can catch the ball in between the numbers, that's a big deal. But in the end, what it comes down to, the suspect play we've seen on the defensive side of the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs. The rookie coaching of Staley in L.A. with the Rams.
Oh, terrible.
Okay, then you've got Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders. Now you've got, Las Vegas Raiders. Now you've got Josh McDaniel there. We'll see how much of an impact he has with a guy like Derek Carr. But because there's question marks in Las Vegas and Los Angeles with Kansas City's defense, I think you got to look at Denver right now and you got to say, hey, excuse me, this is a legit Super Bowl contender, because it's really about Kansas City. It's really about Tennessee. It's really about Buffalo. In Buffalo, obviously, they got their stuff together. They just got to get over the hump with Kansas City. As long as Tennessee has Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, don't tell me they're a lock. So it's really about Kansas City, Buffalo, and now the Denver Broncos to me, and everybody else that gets into the mix. We'll see what happens. But in terms of who you're looking at from the very beginning, Denver's right in that mix now.
You got to throw Cincinnati in. Don't forget that.
I don't.
You don't throw they just got to the Super Bowl.
Stephen A.,
So,
they were
I mean-
just in with Joe Burrow.
Tell me, do I look like I care? I don't care. Cincinnati had a very good year. Props to them for getting to the Super Bowl. But I'm still looking for the Steelers to see what they get as a quarterback. But if Lamar Jackson comes back and he's 100%, I'm not ruling them out either. I know Joe Burrow's big time. I understand with Mixon, obviously with Chase and Higgins and the crew. We can't ignore them. But the flip side to it is that they were up and down last year as well. Look at some of the games they lost. They lost to the New York Jets last year. You understand that? They lost to the New York Jets and the Chicago Bears.
They're a legitimate
I'm
contender.
throwing them in the mix. I'm not dismissing
Well, you didn't
them.
mention them 5 minutes ago.
I'm not dismissing them. All I'm saying to you is that when I look at Denver, would I put Denver ahead of them, led by Russell Wilson? I probably would.
I don't think you can do that. Wilson wasn't great the last year or so. Somehow you have avoided that.
Okay.
He wasn't. He broke his finger. He wasn't super there against the Rams 2 years ago in the playoff game. A lot of people think he's kind of peaked. Burrow, listen, they should have beaten the Rams. They would be the state. They should have won the game.
Did they say he peaked or did Pete Carroll peak?
Well, you can make that argument. Fair. You can make that argument.
People who were saying
fair.
Pete Carroll's beyond his prime.
I
now.
mean, he's 70 years old.
All right.
I understand.
There's no shame in that.
I get it.
And the O-line has always been an issue.
I'm not
there as
age
well.
discriminate.
The what? I'm sorry. The O-line.
The O-line has always been
the
an issue.
offensive line never got fixed. Pete Carroll.
I'm not
was
blaming
the-
Russell Wilson, but let's not say he's not coming off a huge year. Let's
I
be
understand
fair.
that. I understand that.
And he's
but-
34 years old in
there were a lot of
November.
questions.
That's also not
Why
fair.
did you say that the Denver Broncos need to be in the mix? Because you brought up the team and the pieces that they have.
They got a nice ball club.
Okay, then.
But you were avoiding Cincinnati, and you're saying they're in a tough division. They're going to deal with Mahomes twice, Herbert twice. The Raiders are pretty good. They made the playoffs last year.
That's right.
Buffalo with that Josh Allen. Cincinnati's a good ball club.
Cincinnati's a
Lamar
good ball
Jackson,
club.
who you love.
Cincinnati's a good ball club that can get there by default. I understand that.
All right.
They could get there by default because if the Steelers don't.
Well, you're not showing
Let's do
any
this.
respect to a team that won the AFC.
I gave them respect.
Very
I did.
little.
I did. I think it'll be
Let's
too much.
dive into this because we obviously know the AFC is stacked when we're talking about quarterbacks. Stephen A., where would you say Russell Wilson now ranks among the AFC West quarterbacks?
Wow, it's a tough question. Well, that's going to be a part of my A list a little bit later on in the show. So I'm not going to.
No. I said AFC West.
AFC West. Okay.
Later, we're going to do the Stevens A list. It'll be your first. Have you ever seen a Stevens
I have
A
not.
list?
I'm looking forward to it.
I hope you rip it apart. Yes.
No, he's going to try.
you're
that's
gonna-
what
he's
y'all
gonna
do.
rank his
That's what-
quarterbacks later.
That's what y'all do. I would tell you this. As good as I think Russell Wilson is, his resume is right up there behind Mahomes. But from a talent perspective right now, I have him third. I've got him behind Mahomes and Herbert because I love me some Justin Herbert. So that's what I would tell you if you ask me specifically about the AFC West. From a talent perspective, not resume, because resume speaks for itself. Justin Herbert just got in the league a couple of years ago. I would put Justin Herbert at number 2 behind Mahomes.
I don't think he's wrong on that one. I love Herbert as much as he does. I love the guy. He is going to be great. He was wonderful against the Raiders. He had all those fourth down completions.
No
Give him
question.
credit. I'm with Stevie on that. I think you got to be fair, though.
Yeah.
Wilson's won 1 million playoff games. He's won a Super Bowl. He got to another Super Bowl. He's won, 10, 11 playoff games? Herbert's never played in a playoff game. To be fair about it, resume does play into this. Change of scenery should do him well. I think Steve's being a little harsh. You have to make Russell Wilson second. To be fair. Now, 10 years from now, if you gave me the quarterback for the next 8 years, I'll take Herbert.
You're not a Derek Carr guy.
What is it?
No, absolutely
This
not.
is breaking news.
He's not.
This is breaking news.
What?
Doggy's calling me harsh. How'd that happen? I mean, the stuff that you say. You got to be kidding me. I'm harsh. I'm a saint. I'm a saint compared to you.
Whoa.
Okay, let's be very clear.
Let's
I'm very
settle
nice.
down
I'm
with
a very
that.
nice guy.
Take it easy.
Let's settle
Okay.
down. You might want to Google
Oh,
the
have you
definition.
seen
You
this
might
guy?
want to
Have you heard
Google the
this guy?
definition of a saint. Let's
Please.
settle down now a
I
little
mean,
bit.
I can be.
Okay,
I have
yeah.
saint qualities.
Oh, my
I love the guy, but sometimes a little shit. Anyway, go ahead.
Let's get into the other major quarterback news. Aaron Rodgers, 2022, controlling the narrative, folks. Tweeting this, hey, everyone, just wanted to clear some things up. Yes, I will be playing with the Packers next year. However, reports about me signing a contract are inaccurate, as are the supposed terms of the contract I signed. I'm very excited to be back. Hashtag year 18. Stephen A., are you surprised your boy is staying in Green Bay after all that noise this offseason?
You know something? First of all, I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised he didn't leave. based on all the noise he made. But I want to say this. First of all, he's inaccurate. Nobody said he signed anything. What are you talking about? We said that he agreed to come back to Green Bay. Nobody said he signed. So once again, that's a nugget of misinformation that Aaron Rodgers is throwing out there. Nobody said he signed anything. What the hell we did? We got pictures of him signing the contract? No, we do not. We never said that. We said that he agreed to come back, which he confirmed. Number two, the particulars of the contract, you can hem and haw about all of that, but at the end of the day, you going to tell us that the $153 million that's reportedly guaranteed, we lying about that too? Stop it. You know better. Number three, here's why I'm surprised.
Yeah.
A little bit. Because you made a whole lot of noise about the Green Bay Packers. You made a whole lot of noise about the manner in which you was treated, how, you didn't feel respected and valued and all of this other stuff. And then we've got this guy Hackett, that's the new coach in Denver, okay? And it's one of those situations where, y'all got some history there. So I'm surprised that wasn't an option. I'm surprised that Tennessee didn't end up being an option because Aaron Rodgers at Tennessee with Vrabel and the crew, that would have been very, very compelling, very, very interesting. But I'm only a little bit surprised because, again, he made a lot of noise about the Green Bay Packers, and it really wasn't about the money. It was about the respect or lack thereof and the fact that they didn't want to listen to some of the suggestions that he was making about what direction they needed to go in, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, this is the same organization that when you drafted Jordan Love, if I remember correctly, I got to look this up, but you could have had T. Higgins. You could have had a couple of other pieces, but you chose the successor to Aaron Rodgers, which he felt was really, really, really offensive. So the fact that we end up here once he had an opportunity to move on from that, I'm surprised that it ended up this way, but not big time considering the kind of season he had.
I am tired of Aaron Rodgers. Go away. Win a playoff game. Will you please? In your building. Listen, I'm not surprised because at the end of the day, where is he going to go anyway? Denver was the only option. Remember, you trade him, you got to give up a fortune. You got to pay him a ton of money. Green Bay had that ability to do that. Adams was going to stay. He loves Adams. But I'm with Stevie on one thing. I'm enough of Aaron Rodgers, please. Can you go out? He's been very bad in the postseason since he won his Super Bowl. He's only got the one. He made a big deal about Jordan Love. Favre had to deal with Rodgers being drafted. I didn't remember Favre going crazy about that. He made a big deal about Jordan Love. Randall Cobb, he made a big stink. They didn't re-sign Cobb. Cobb did nothing in the playoff game against San Francisco. Go host Jeopardy. I mean, I've had enough.
Go host Jeopardy. Now, that's a bit extreme. I don't like the fact that he lied about being vaccinated, talking about he was immunized.
Oh, that was a disaster.
That was a disaster, no doubt about it. I don't like that. But to sit up there and say, go play Jeopardy, he is the reigning two-time league MVP. I mean, he is a four-time league MVP. The brother does put on a show.
I expect better than that.
I expect better than that in the postseason. I was very disappointed in his performance against San Francisco's this go-round. But there's been plenty of playoff games that he showed up and the defense did it for
Well, how about the year before against Tampa? He was terrible in that game, too, for his level of play.
For his level of play.
I expect better performances out of a quarterback making $50 million a year.
Well, he wasn't making 50
40
million a year at the time. He wasn't making 40 at the time, damn it. Stop exaggerating. That's number one. Number two, are you implying that Matt LaFleur was correct in taking the football out of his hands?
No, terrible.
On the fourth down?
Oh, LaFleur's done an awful job. You and I have discussed this.
Okay, all right.
I mean, Lombardi's up there in his grave saying, how did we lose a game on special teams?
That's right.
LaFleur did an awful job, 100%.
I'm talking about last year.
But you are making it. Whoops, you're making.
Wait. Let me help you.
No, I get on the chair. You're
okay?
driving me crazy here that Rodgers, he doesn't deserve any blame. What's the matter with the chair?
Give me that pad.
Oh, my God. You're telling me that Rodgers does not deserve any blame? That's ridiculous.
I didn't say he doesn't deserve any blame.
He was terrible.
I didn't say that.
You blamed it on the floor 5 seconds ago.
Excuse me. I wasn't talking about this. I said I was asking you about Tampa because you brought up the year before against Tampa in the NFC Championship.
Back-to-back years.
What I was asking was, were you a proponent of him taking the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands on the fourth down?
That was terrible.
Okay, that's what I was asking. That's all I said.
Can he score a touchdown in the first 3 downs there?
Okay.
Can he throw the ball in the end zone once? I mean, he gets some responsibility, Stephen.
He gets some responsibility, but let's be very, very clear. He's a bad man.
He's a great player.
He's a great player.
But he is not an immortal.
Okay. Well, who is? Other
Brady.
than Brady.
Okay.
Montana.
All right. Let's go there.
Elway.
There you go.
Staubach.
There you go with the United stuff.
Okay,
Staubach. Did
let's-
Staubach lose to the Steelers? Did he lose to the Steelers in the Super Bowl?
Oh my
He
God.
won two Super Bowls. I understand it. Stop it.
Okay, excuse me.
You
We
know
know that
Rodgers.
bad man. We know Aaron Rodgers is a fantastic regular
is.
season quarterback. We're aware that he is an MVP regular season guy. But what does he need to do to be considered an all-time great?
Well, he is an all-time great, and immortal would be the way I would characterize it. And
What does he need to do?
He
to
needs another
become
one,
an
a Super
immortal?
Bowl. He's got to win another one.
Just one.
Well, I mean, okay, let's
least
get
one.
one, and then we'll discuss the next. He need a, and especially now. This NFC's a disaster.
Yeah.
Wilson's out, Brady retired, Breeze is gone. There's no quarterback.
That's right.
Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the Giants.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott
Hurts
still
is
in
the
Dallas. Matthew Stafford.
We've had this argument about.
Matthew Stafford is with the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay,
Can't ignore
fine.
that.
Fine.
Okay.
We're the better quarterback, Steve, than the AFC.
That's true. I agree with that.
There's
I
no
agree-
quarterback.
I agree with that.
I mean-
he should win the chip.
Look at the division. You killed me 2 weeks ago about Cousins. All right, you don't like
You
him.
should. You should.
You
I should've
destroyed
said
me
that.
on that.
You
got that
absolutely-
one. I give you a
that's
win
what I
there.
tell you. Of
So
course.
you have, because
Of
I got
course.
in trouble with Cousins. You remember that? You laughed at me too with the
right.
Cousins.
Cousins,
Prescott
Kirk
thing.
Cousins.
Cousins,
You were
Detroit-
reaching. It was a
I was a reach.
It's a
You
big
were
reach.
reaching.
But
I'm glad you
Detroit
admit it
doesn't have a
now.
Detroit doesn't have a quarterback. Bears Fields, he hasn't done
Why would
anything.
you
There's
even
no
mention
quarterback.
Detroit doesn't have a team. It has nothing to do with the quarterback. They don't have a team.
Fair.
They don't have a culture.
Fair.
Okay, they don't have anything.
The coach will do a good job there, though. Campbell's going
I
to be a
like
good coach.
Campbell.
Yes.
I like Campbell.
He did a good
He
job.
did a good job
But he's
with
about
them.
the only thing that I like.
I love the guy. You know, he's funny.
I mean, he's
gonna do it.
ridiculous. He's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Campbell. Oh, I love him. I mean, Campbell is he's going to do well.
Okay.
And Minnesota does, but he's in a conference that doesn't have a lot of QBs. If he
right.
doesn't get to a Super Bowl in this conference, when there's only Prescott and Stafford,
We don't disagree.
we're in big trouble.
We don't disagree. We don't disagree. But don't act like he's not
Okay.
great now.
Great, immortal is a different word.
Okay, well, he wants to be an immortal. So,
you go with the
You don't think he's an immortal?
I don't think he's an immortal
Okay,
based on that. But I mean, when you bring up Tom Brady and Joe Montana, sure. But you bring up Johnny Unitas.
Oh, Johnny Unitas.
How many titles? How many titles?
3.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
that is a good point.
But 2 when he was
I
the
thought he
quarterback.
had two.
Two.
I
All
thought
right,
he
wait,
had
wait,
two.
wait.
58 and 59.
Hold on.
Unitas went down the field against the Giants in 58 with the
You're
big
bringing
thing.
up stuff that before I was born. Let's stop it.
You're not that old yet?
No, not that yet. Not yet.
I wasn't born either. I know what's going on there.
Okay, let's stay focused. Say it is 4 years for Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
What type of grace period are we giving him to win a chip?
Listen, he's got to win a Super Bowl within 2 years, and I'd preferably prefer to see 2 from him. He's got to win at least 1. He's better get to at least 2 Super Bowls. Enough of this nonsense.
100%.
Are you
He's
saying?
right on.
Are you saying this year? Or you're giving him the 2 years?
I
as well?
mean, listen, yeah, if he doesn't win this year, wins next year, you're going to sound silly if you made a big deal about this year. So I'm with Steve overall. Get 1, and then you know what? Then let's see if you can get the second one.
Yeah.
You can't end your career with the Packers making $50 million now, thereabouts, and sit there and have a postseason record that is under 500 since you won a Super Bowl, with a lot of games he's lost at home. You know, he's lost a lot of home playoff games. San Francisco beaten in there twice. Tampa's beaten there. He has not played great in his building. He has not been the quarterback in the postseason as he has been in the regular season. And if you are going to go down in immortal status, that has to change.
Okay.
Fair enough.
We agree on that?
Perfect way to end that. Did you guys see Kyrie Irving last night? So Kyrie Irving was back, scorching a season-high 50 points versus the Nets. Irving started the game in rhythm, kept knocking down shots all night, going 15-19 from the field, 11 for 13 from the free throw line, in a 132-121 win that ended a 4-game skid. Here's KD and Kyrie.
I mean, I've been saying it. It's pure. Everything he does is pure. You know, it looks so easy tonight. I look up, he had 10 points, and it felt like he only took 2 shots, you know, the first quarter. And I told Seth, I'm like, damn, I didn't know he had it cooking like that. And I seen it in his eyes to start the game, and it was just a incredible performance. Like, it's something you got to, like, younger players, you should watch this game to learn what it takes to score at that level, as 5'10", 5'11". For him to score that easy, I mean, that was just a masterclass.
It felt like a must-win night, and I'm not saying that the other nights didn't feel like that, but you just got to go into that deep place where you just aren't distracted by anything that's going on, and there's a goal at hand when you step out there, and I just get less talkative, and I just have a look on my face that I'm just ready to just go out there and just do what's needed for us to get this win.
Okay, Stephen A. No secret, I want to see Brooklyn and Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's an unbelievable performance. But then I said to myself, it's against the Hornets. So are you encouraged by Kyrie's monster game?
I don't even know how to answer that specific question, so I'm just going to say how I feel. It made me want to throw up. I'm disgusted. Because you've got a bunch of fools out there that's raving about Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant clapping and all of this other stuff. Kevin Durant should be sick. The fans who love Kyrie Irving should be sick. Because you know what last night was evidence of? What he's robbing us of. Kyrie Irving, find me one person that watches the game of basketball that has ever denied how spectacular of an offensive player Kyrie Irving is. It's never happened. We've all seen this. This is nothing. He scored 50. So, Kyrie could do that in his sleep any night he wants to. That's how electrifying of a talent he is. What we talked about and what we lamented, Doggy, is that he ain't available.
100%.
This is who he is. You see what I'm saying? And when I saw Kevin Durant clapping like that last night and everybody raving, I got ticked off because that's exactly what Kyrie Irving wants to do. See, he want to skip half the season. He want to work when he want to work. Then he want to show up. He puts on a show, and then everybody gets caught up in the show and forget the fact you ain't available half the time. The Brooklyn Nets are vying for a play-in spot in the playoffs. The Brooklyn Nets. When KD was not injured, when he was healthy and on the basketball court this year, they were tied for the #1 seed when he went down. They went from the #1 seed to the 8th seed,
right,
trying to make sure they survive for the play-in tournament. What's the #1 reason that's the case? Because Kyrie ain't available. But we want to ignore that. We want to ignore that. And we want to sit up there and go like this. Well, we're not going to judge him because he's unvaccinated or whatever. What about when the riots took place in the U.S. Capitol and he decided to take days off? What about the fact that this brother has played in a grand total of like 18 playoff games since they won the title in Cleveland with him? This is who he's been. What about talking when people were booing and they talk about, well, but they booed him in Boston and, because he left them? No. It's because he promised them he was staying. And then he left. That's what happened. Because he talked about being a leader and then didn't leave. Because he talked about being available, then not being available. So when I see that, listen, we see a lot of guys, maybe not people with his level of talent because he is nothing short of spectacular. Kyrie is box office. My attitude, Doggy, just so you know, because you weren't here when I said this, I'd give Kyrie Irving $50 million a year, 1 year at a time. I'd never trust him with a long-term contract to save my life.
They can pay for his supper.
Because that brother will not show up half the time. You know why? Because he don't love basketball like that. He can play. He's playing because he's spectacular at it, and he's playing because it pays well. That brother don't love it. You could talk about Harden, and we can have these discussions. You could talk about KD. That same KD that's clapping is the same KD that'll play broke. That's the same KD that'll show up anywhere, anytime, any day. That brother gonna put on them, lace up them sneakers, and he's gonna show up. All right, I gotta admit to you, and I'm not joking about this. I'm dead serious. I'm not joking, and I certainly don't mean anything by it towards anybody else but Kyrie Irving. When the whole invasion took place with Russia and Ukraine, I thought Kyrie was gonna skip games because of that. I ain't lying. I'm not playing. I really, really mean it because that's who he is. He sits up there and he looks at the world and, his intellect is here and everybody else is here. And as a result, it's more than just a game. It's beneath me. I got bigger things on my mind. But could you make sure you cut that check, please? That's Kyrie Irving. That is who he has been. And so when I saw that 50 last night, I said, damn, look at this spectacular brother here. And how many games have I seen him? He don't even care. It don't matter. I miss games I got to miss. I'll play games that I have to play. They don't lift the vaccine mandate. And Brooklyn ends up in a play-in game that he can't play. Brooklyn ends up in a first-round series in a game 7, and he can't play. We're going to care more about that than him. I don't know that to be true. I'm saying that is the impression he has given us, Doggy. And that's why I was discussing.
He's 100%. I mean, don't forget the Portland, Utah, Detroit road trip that he missed last year because he went to the birthday party, which drove me crazy too. I can't do it. He's 1,000% right. I wish I could argue with him here, but I can't. He's a wonderful basketball player. He killed Curry in the finals the year that Cleveland won. Let's never forget that in Game 7. And to me, unlike Djokovic in tennis, who's only hurting himself because of the vaccination thing, he's hurting the Brooklyn franchise. And he's hurting Durant, who he convinced to go to Brooklyn with him. Maybe the Knicks, he goes to Brooklyn. He's letting them down because he is getting paid a fortune, and there's players on that team who need him to be healthy and playing on the court so they have a chance to win a championship. And he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the room, and that is very, very dangerous. I think Steve hit it right on the head. The fact that he hasn't gotten his vaccine situation straightened out is a complete disgrace. He's in a team sport. He's making $40 million a year. You owe it to your owner. You owe it to the GM. You owe it to Nash.
You owe it
and you
to
know
the
it,
league.
and you owe it to Silva. You owe it to the fan base. You owe it to everybody to make sure that you are available when they play postseason games in your building.
And he feels he owes no one anything.
And he's wrong. He is when you're getting paid $40 million a year and they want you to take a shot, you take the shot. And you go out there and you play. And how about Durant? Now, Durant doesn't want to get mad because Durant's I think he's a pretty good guy, so he doesn't want to get involved. If you're Durant and you sit there and you lose playoff games because this guy doesn't want to play in your building, is either the vaccination thing, I'd be ticked off. Hold on now. You're the one, the reason I'm here. We need you to win because Durant can't beat Milwaukee and Philadelphia by himself. He needs Irving.
He needs him.
And if Irving doesn't show up because of a dopey vaccine thing, because he thinks, again, quote unquote, he's smarter than anybody in the room, that's letting Durant down. Who he brought to him, he brought to Brooklyn in the first place. So he is 1,000% correct. I've been waiting to scream about Irving on this show for the last 3 times. Now I get a chance to, but I'm with him 100%. Whether he loves basketball as much as he should, I'll let Steve handle that because he knows him probably better than I do. But I know this, when he's into it and he wants to win and he's playing in an NBA final, you are talking about not a good, you are talking about an all-time great guard.
Without question.
Yeah, you mentioned Kevin Durant. I want to go there because Steph and the Warriors finally snapped their 5-game losing streak last night. They currently sit 3rd in the West. Stephen A., who would you say needs another title more? Is it Kevin Durant or Steph Curry?
I think it's KD. I think it's KD. I think it's KD in part because he left Golden State. I think it's KD in part because he went to Golden State. He had to go to Golden State to win the chip because he couldn't do it with Russell Westbrook. I also think it's KD because of the choice that he made to go to, which is Brooklyn and Kyrie. You see, when you look at Steph Curry, there's a lot of things that we can look at right now. We can look at the injury to Draymond Green. We can look at Klay Thompson trying to, get back to who he was. We can look at all of those things. We can look at the powers in the West because obviously you've got Phoenix, they're a together team. You got Memphis, they're a young together team. You got Utah, they're a together team. You got Dallas on the come up, they're a together team. The Clippers, even though they've struggled over the last 2 games. Could you imagine if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were healthy, what the Clippers would look like? When you look at the Eastern Conference, that's not to say that there's nothing to sneeze at because the conference is considerably stronger. But what I'm saying about KD is that if KD and Kyrie are healthy and playing on the court together, who's doubting that they're going to win the chip? It's KD's team no matter which way we slice it. He may have won it. He may have gone there because Kyrie wanted to go there, and he followed Kyrie. He followed Kyrie's lead. But in the end, he's the face of the Brooklyn Nets franchise. And Kyrie not being on the court, him not being able to convince Kyrie of that, that's an issue. James Harden wanting to push his way out, I don't view him as quitting on the Nets. I view him as forcing his way out, okay? That's on KD. All of these things are associated with KD. So to me, that is what it's about. And I think that based on that, that's why there's more pressure on KD to ultimately capture a title because of the choice that he made in terms of where to go.
I disagree with that. I think Steve's right on one thing. KD should, if you were going to leave Oklahoma City and you go play for the Wizards because you're from Washington, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Go play for Boston, haven't won, I can win with that. But to join Golden State that had already won a championship, that drives me crazy. When a guy of his ability, and here's what people forget. He had a 3-1 lead on Golden State in that series. And they had an 8-point lead in Game 6 at home. Yeah. Win the game. I know he blames it all on Westbrook. Win the game. They should have won that series. I mean, they had that series won, and that's the year Golden State won the championship. But as far as who needs to win one more, I know how great Durant is. Durant is the best player in the NBA. And I know that's LeBron's sitting over there, and he scores 56 on Saturday night. But Durant is when he's healthy, he's the best player. Right now, pound for pound, he's the best player in the NBA.
He's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
There's no argument.
Without question.
Curry isn't. Curry isn't. And I've said this to you last week, and we fought about it. You thought I was crazy. This is one of the ones I won, is the idea that Curry, well, you know what? He's an all-time great. He's top 10. Hold on now. Curry wouldn't have won that championship, the one he won without Durant, if Kyrie and Love didn't get hurt. They were going to lose that series to Cleveland. They only won in 6, and they would have lost. Irving didn't play the whole series, for crying out loud. And then the other 2 times, Durant goes in there, and Durant was the best player on their team. So I know where Durant is. Steve's point is he needs to win a championship outside of Golden State because Golden State won one without him. But if you're asking me right now, does Durant need to go out there and win another championship to classify as immortal status? The answer is no. And I think Curry does.
Well, I'm not thinking about immortal status right now. I'm simply thinking about the fact that when you look at Curry and the Golden State Warriors, they're a title contender, but they've got to go up against other legitimate title contenders. We'll see what happens. You're looking at Durant and you're saying, excuse me, you make better decisions. There's nothing to talk about here. I'm thinking about, again, the personnel you elected to play for. And you brought up a point that I think buffers my point. If he went to the nation's capital,
I live with it.
because you got people that had questions about Bradley Beal. I'm a huge Bradley Beal fan, even though if you want all that money, you got to be on the court.
Yeah, he never plays. He never plays either.
I understand, but I'm just saying. But he's hurt though. He doesn't. He doesn't.
I understand.
For off-court issues.
That's part of greatness, though, Steve. That's part of greatness.
I understand it, but he doesn't skip games for off-court issues. All right, that's not Bradley Beal. He's either healthy or he's hurt. That's the situation. But if Kevin Durant elected to go there, we're not judging him accordingly. The fact is, we're looking at the decisions that you made. Last night's a perfect example. You should be more upset than anybody.
It's fair.
Because I got Kyrie. This is what Kyrie could be doing for me every night.
So you
Why
want
don't
him?
I have him?
So you want him basically to call out Irving for not playing home games?
No, what I'm saying is I wouldn't say publicly call him out because a lot of us wouldn't do that to our teammates. But what you can do is hold him accountable, talk about what you need, not just capitulate into his every whim. You can do that.
I have 2 questions. I need clarity because I've never talked to you about this. So I get that you didn't like that he went to the Warriors,
No,
Durant,
terrible.
But you didn't like that he went to Brooklyn?
I can live with Brooklyn.
That was to rectify the Warriors' decision to show he could do it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But he also went with Irving now. My bigger issue with Durant is not the fact he went to Brooklyn from Golden State after he won the 2 championships. My point on Durant is when you're 3-1 up on Golden State, as they were for Oklahoma City in that series, with Donovan as their head coach with Westbrook, and you lost Game 5, and then in Game 6 in your building to get to an NBA final, that was the conference final, to get to an NBA final, and maybe it was a second round because I think Houston, whatever it was, they would have gotten to the final. They probably would have won it. And the fact that he's got an 8-point lead, I think it was 8 points, with you were at the game probably.
No, I wasn't at
with
the game.
4 minutes left, and you're Kevin Durant, win the game. Win the game. And then you don't win the game, and then, I'll go join them now. That to me, I can't, that I don't like.
But I think he rectified that by going to Brooklyn. I just have one more question for you guys.
He hasn't won yet in Brooklyn, though. He hasn't won a championship.
Yes. But I'm saying rectifying, saying that he could kind of do it on his own. I know Kyrie's there, not with the superstar team, but he ended up being with the superstar team. All known, but can I just ask one thing really quickly? Because we're talking about Kyrie Irving and a little bit of the frustration, Stephen A., because he is so special in what he did last night. So let me ask you this. I told you guys in the Eastern Conference, I want to see Philly and Brooklyn. Would you even want to see Brooklyn win the championship after how this whole season went down with Kyrie
Listen,
Irving?
I've been on the record stating that it's bad for basketball if they win because of the shenanigans we've had to deal with. Having said all of that, I'm a basketball purist. And when you have someone as great as Kevin Durant, you want to see him on the highest stage because you want to see the creme de la creme. You want to see the best go at it. And Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are just simply spectacular. It's just that simple. But what I'm saying is this. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, people forget about the accountability factor in this regard. Kyrie Irving was the one on the record. We don't need a coach. We really don't need a coach. We can do what we want to do. See, that's what this is about. It's about comfort level. It's about, well, you know what I want to do, right? And it's not about the fans. It's not about the game. It's not about what's in the best interest of the viewing public because, they act like you're playing in a gym with nobody watching. Yeah. That's not the case. You got people emotionally invested. You wanted them to be emotionally invested. Do you understand that the Barclays Center has barely seen Kyrie Irving play? Forget Kyrie with KD. Yeah. They barely seen Kyrie. He only played 20 games
That's
his first year there because Kevin Durant was out, and then he got hurt. You were encouraging people not to participate in the bubble, and then you did it. 10 months later, you come back into the game, start a new season, and 2 weeks in, you need a break emotionally. You traumatized by riots going taking place in Capitol Hill, but not so traumatized to prevent yourself from partying with your family, which puts you out even more games. This dude is like, yo, I want to do what I want to do. And the fans are getting robbed. We are 10 minutes. This studio is 10 minutes away from the Barclays Center. I have never seen Kyrie play at the Barclays
We have
Center.
to vote. That's why I'm saying, would you be irked if he actually ended up winning the championship? I need a yes or no from you because we're up against.
No, I would not be irked. I want to see the two of them play. I want to see Harden and Embiid. I want to see Middleton and Giannis, and I want to see Durant and Harden. You get those combinations,
tandems,
you will have a great Eastern Conference.
Yep. All right. Still to come on First Take, Christopher Russo, do you agree that Harden is playing with house money?
Absolutely not. I like the trade. I think that he's much better for that team than Simmons is because Simmons can't throw the ball in the ocean off a boat. So I understand that. And he can't make free throws, and you can't put him in there in the fourth quarter. And Harden, you can certainly do that. But Harden is playing he's playing for something else. This is a guy who's played in one final, and he was bad off the bench for Oklahoma City. And we have a litany of games. Should I go through the Golden State Game 7 a few years ago when he hoisted up 13 threes and made 2 of them? It was awful. How about San Antonio in games in that series against the Spurs when he was off? Oh, my God. Or when he got mauled when McHale coached the Rockets when they got killed by Golden State. Should I go through some of these spots for him in the big – last year we give him a break. He had a bad hamstring. So last year we give him a break. But should I go through some of these spots in the big game where you evaluate a guy of his level? That's when I'm going to – I don't care what he does in a regular season. Let him score his 40 points. Let him take his 30 shots. Let him and Embiid have all the fun they want. Let Embiid run the court, dunk the ball, blah, blah, blah. I'm okay, fine. You know what I'm going to find out about Harden? When he's playing in a spot where it determines if he plays in a final. Let me see when he plays in Milwaukee in a Game 5 in a big spot or a Game 6, elimination game. Let me see him play if Irving plays when his Durant's in the mix. Let me see him respond in those situations. And if he ever gets to a final, which he hasn't done theoretically, let me see him go out there and win a championship. That's the report card for Harden. The report card for Harden, in my eyes, is not about, well, is he better than Simmons? Of course he's better than Simmons. In the NBA, in the fourth quarter in playoff games, you got to score. And Simmons can't score. You can't be a great player if they put you on the bench with 6 minutes to go because you can't make a free throw. And you can't shoot a three. I mean, it's about putting the ball in the basket. Harden's going to have to do that with the season on the line consistently, something he's never done. That's his report.
Doesn't have to do it. And see, here's the thing. You're thinking about it from a macro perspective. But I'm here to reel you in, doggy, and get to the micro perspective. Is Harden playing with house money in Philly? In Philly is the operative words there. And that's where I got that from. I'm not trying to act like the man is devoid of pressure, that he doesn't have something to prove, that all of the things you just articulated eloquently, I might add, is not on point. Because I remember San Antonio and you taking 2 shots in the first 16 minutes. I remember the 2 for 13 shoot performance from 3-point range in a Game 7. I remember how Houston came back against the Los Angeles Clippers, when the Clippers with Lob City, CP3, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin were about to advance to their first ever conference final, okay? And Houston came back on like a 49-9 run with Harden on the bench and guys like Dwight Howard and others on the court. So I remember all of that. And I'm not trying to act like James Harden is devoid of pressure. What I'm saying is when you are the successor to a dude that wouldn't even show up on the court, that's where everybody is looking at you like, we just happy to have you. As a guy that worked in Philadelphia for 17 years, went from a college reporter to a general sports columnist, covering it for 17 years, every lock, stock, and barrel, here's what I'm telling you. This city is about cats that show up. It's a blue-collar town, baby. You got to show up and be ready to rumble, okay? Harden's already doing that, and he's going to do that. But here's the difference between him now and him in Houston. He ain't the number one option. It's Embiid. Harden might go out there and guess what? He might not have 30 points, but he might have 20 assists. Philadelphia is going to be cool with that. He can hit a couple of shots here and there. Philadelphia is going to be cool with that. The same level of culpability that he had in Houston doesn't necessarily exist for him in Philly. Now, he can't choke. He can't stink up the joint. We can't look at him and say, damn, you folded like a cheap tent. Where the hell were you? Because Embiid didn't have any help. But if Harden is showing up there and he's averaging 26, 28 a game, even if it's at 42 or 43% shooting, okay, and he's giving you 10 to 15 assists, I'm looking at it, and we're going to look at him. We're going to look at Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid is that dude in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia specifically is going to be incredibly grateful that he just showed up. Hey, listen, I'm thinking about going down there tomorrow night. I think about going to that game. I'm contemplating showing up in the house for this one. It might be worth it. I mean, can Kyrie play that game? Is he eligible to play in Philadelphia?
Hopefully he will.
I believe he is. I want to see Kyrie Irving against James Harden. I want to see Kyrie with KD against Harden and Embiid. I might have to show up for this before I ultimately have to give my public apology to Daryl Morey.
You are making it sound like that Philadelphia is Albuquerque, New Mexico. What? There's no pressure on playing in Philadelphia?
No.
That's a Northeast town that lives and breathes their sports, and if he doesn't respond and take them into a final, it's not Embiid who's going to get the abuse, it's him.
Oh, excuse me. Come
on.
He can't play like garbage. I'm not saying that. But he ain't the number one dude in Philly. That would be Embiid.
He's a guard, though. The ball's in his hands. It's going to start with him.
He can't play like garbage. That's what I'm saying. He can't play like garbage. But he doesn't have to be what he was required to be in Houston. He doesn't have to be that. Just like when he got to Brooklyn. Remember, he changed his game. He modified his game because he was supposed to be on the court.
I gave him a pass last year.
Exactly.
All right? I granted that one.
And I'm saying that's what you're going to end up doing this year.
No, hey, come on. He's Philadelphia spot. By the way, I worked in Philly, too. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
WIP, 1987. Did you know they offered me 10 to 1 on Monday through Friday? And I didn't take it. Did you know that? That's before you.
That was before me.
That's before you.
That's 6 years before I arrived there.
You Mr. Philly. I was Mr. Philly before you were Mr. Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, that's number one. Number two.
Okay, you got me there. You got me there. I didn't know.
10-8.
I didn't know it. I didn't know that. Okay.
It's not Albuquerque. He's got to take them to a championship. The expectation level in Philadelphia right now is through the roof.
It is through the roof.
You can't sit there and not get to a final.
They got them as a Wait a minute now. You definitely you're in position to fight. There's no doubt about that. But all I'm saying to you is this. If Harden goes out there and does what he's doing now, just does what he's doing now.
All right, we got to go.
It's Embiid's squad.
We got to go. Stephen A., it's about getting the ball in the basket, and it's not Albuquerque, okay? Marinate on those gems we just got from Doggy here. Another year in Green Bay for that bad man. You are hilarious. Hey, much deserved. My guy, Danny O, good to see you.
Good to be back.
The tan looks nice. I hope you and the family had fun.
Thank you. It was a good day. Hold on. Where were you?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
It's important that I interrupt this. Did you take the wife and kids to a nice spot, or were you cheap and penny pinching and subjected them to like second level stuff?
So the answer is, I think we went to a nice place, yes. But so in February, we get a break off from school in Connecticut, with the town we live in. We went to the Beaches Resort in the Turks and Caicos. If I had one more person come up to me at that resort, whether they were visiting and or working, and the people of the Turks and Caicos were awesome, and say, man, I love when you give it to Stephen A. on television. I was going to throw up. Everybody loves Stephen A. It was like, can I get away from this dude?
I told him we should do a show in the Caribbean.
I will say this. That is true.
Everybody loves Stephen A.
Because I have frequented Turks and Caicos, and they do love me there.
The true story, though, is on our flight home, I booked one of those
Turks
seats
is
that
ridiculous.
you don't get a carry-on.
It's true.
You don't get a carry-on. I booked the cheapest seats available.
That's ridiculous.
No.
That's ridiculous.
No.
It turned into a 17-hour travel day.
This is a brother that had his wife and
can't.
coach.
How many
Let's move on.
kids
Let's move
do
on.
you have?
Middle
Let's move on.
seat, back
Let's
in
move
the
on.
back.
Let's move on, y'all, because I don't want to embarrass them.
Now I'm next to
anymore.
Mad Dog.
That's right. The man.
The legend.
The man.
This
It
guy,
calls me that too
with
much.
all due respect.
Enough. Let's go.
Look,
This is the
he's
guy
even
that we
trying to
grew
play
up
your
listening
style.
to.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
This is the GOAT right here now.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to bring my A game.
You will.
That
I agree with you on.
I got my buddies will not let me live it down if I don't.
One here, too, because your thoughts are nuts. But go ahead, Molly.
Yeah,
Take it away.
I want to dive into what you said on Get Up, and I only caught a second of it, so if you could please expound here. You said you would take Russell Wilson over Justin Herbert for the next 5 years.
I would.
Tell me why.
I think it's a pretty easy decision as well. I just think that people have this viewpoint of Russell Wilson as being a slightly above average quarterback. and we've fallen in love with Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is phenomenal. I have said multiple times he's going to win MVP of this league, and the Chargers should win a Super Bowl with him because of his play. But Russell Wilson is a rock star. I mean, Russell Wilson is a guy that has taken the Seattle Seahawks franchise in the last 5 or 6 years and kept them relevant, even though they have done, front office-wise, a poor job drafting. I said this on Monday. This is one of the reasons why, if I was Russell, I would have wanted out of Seattle since 2016. So all those drafts, 53 players they've selected in Seattle. One has become an All-Pro. One, and that's the punter. That they have such a poor roster, yet this team wins 10 games after 10 games after 10 games every single year. And I look at the performance by Russell Wilson, I say, he's never been in a situation that he is in Denver right now. He's never had a place where talent-wise has been top 5 or top 6 in the NFL when it comes to scheme players, and scheme-wise has been one of the best schemes when it comes to the schemes in the NFL. Every year, Seattle was, we want to run the ball, first down, we got to fire the offensive coordinator, and then Russell bail us out. He's never had that combination of scheme and talent around him, and that's why I'm taking Russell still for the next 5.
I'm going to leave here and go get some flowers. You want me to bill them to you, the flowers that you just threw in Russell Wilson's direction? I mean, my goodness, stop it.
No, you got enough money to pay for him.
First of all, yeah, that's true.
Well, that he has.
First of all, I just saw Russell Wilson in L.A., him and Sierra. Well, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, beautiful couple.
Without question. Here's the deal, y'all. I love Russell Wilson. He's big time.
You're going to get yourself in trouble here.
He's a Super Bowl champion. I know that. But stop with the he didn't have anything to work with. I mean, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean, Chris Carson coming out of the backfield. I understand if you're telling me there was some trepidation because you got a coach that might have appeared a bit archaic, bit transparent and predictable with how he was running the offense. Okay, you could tell me that, and I'm willing to listen to that. I'm willing to live with that. But let's stop the nonsense here. I'm saying, I know Russell Wilson's big time. He's a champion. He's a future Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned. But when you start talking about him like he's had nothing to work with, I'm sorry. They should have beat Dallas in the playoffs 3 years ago. They should have put forth a better performance against the Rams last year, okay? Let's not act like this dude has been devoid of weapons and couldn't get anything done. That wasn't the case.
I'm not implying that. The question was, who do you want for the next 5 years and why?
Well, I'm just saying when you look at it, but you brought up these other things, acting like, you know what, he was handicapped. Well, he played a role in that being handicapped. You got enough cachet where you don't have to listen to everything that Pete Carroll suggests. You could be, you could be a bit more formidable. Like with Matt Ryan, when I held it against Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl, you're up 28-3, right? Did you have to listen to everything Kyle Shanahan said and continue to throw the damn football? You couldn't run and chew up the clock. You don't have enough cachet after all of those years in the NFL to make your position felt. I'm saying at times I've looked at Russell Wilson and I've said, you know what? You don't have to vibe with Pete Carroll. You already called him out about the lack of help with your offensive line. You already called him out about the play calling. You did that in the offseason, but what were you doing during the season? I'm just saying I'm not absolving him from those issues. I know he's great. But the next 5 years, I don't know about that. Not with what I'm seeing in the AFC, not with what I'm seeing with a Justin Herbert, not with what I'm seeing with a Patrick Mahomes, not with what I'm seeing with a Josh Allen. The next 5 years, I think you're a bit off your rock on that one, Dan Orlovsky. I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's 100% right. You're nuts. I mean, my goodness. Herbert, second year, was phenomenal. He's 24, 25 years of age. Wilson's 34 in November. And how about what? We forget about the pass against the Patriots when they got picked off at the goal line? No, hold on. Don't blame that. That's Pete Carroll. It's a terrible call. But he made the pass. He threw the ball. Let's not forget that. They would have won 2 Super Bowls. And let's not also forget 2 years ago against San Francisco when they were playing for the first seed in Week 17, a huge game.
Yes.
And he had the ball at the 5-yard line, and he couldn't put the ball in the end zone, and he completed a 4th down pass that was not a ball into the end zone, got tackled at the 1-yard line. San Francisco ended up
break a tackle.
Well, no, throw the ball in the end zone.
No one's open.
Throw the ball in the end zone.
What's better to throw the ball for a completion to the 1-yard line?
In the end zone.
I would remind you, watch your tone when you're talking to Doug.
No, this is the appropriate tone. I would not be able to talk to my friends if I don't come and
Well, you go ahead.
All right, so in 2020, so 2 seasons ago, the Seattle Seahawks were 12-4. 12-4. Yeah. His leading rusher had 681 yards that year. They had the number 15 team. What do you mean so? That doesn't
never have a great back outside of Lynch, and that was only those couple years.
You're looking at the 681 yards. I'm looking at 4.8 yards per carry.
Bro, they had their leading rusher had 680 yards.
I just finished
they
saying.
had the 15th ranked defense and they were 12.
What did I just finish saying?
So when has Justin Herbert done that?
Excuse me. He just got here in the
second
league.
year, Dan. My goodness.
He just got here.
So I'm looking at a guy that has done it and done it and done it.
Excuse me. You should know Father Time catches up to us all. You're projecting over the next 5 years.
That's what they said about Tom Brady 2 years ago.
He'll be the same age as
He's
Aaron
not Brady.
Rodgers, who's
I
about
know
to be
Brady's a special guy.
the highest paid guy in the league.
Exactly.
He'll be the same age as Aaron Rodgers in 4 years.
And in Aaron Rodgers' last 2 years, he's got 85 touchdowns and 9 receptions in this offense. In this offense.
Okay.
Since 2017, that's 5 seasons, right?
How many touchdowns did Aaron Rodgers throw in the playoffs last year against San Francisco?
One.
About this great offense.
One.
I mean, let's take it easy.
How many points did he score? 10.
Yeah,
But this
got
ain't the
beat.
Aaron Rodgers conversation.
I understand. Now you brought him up.
I did.
You brought him up.
I brought him up.
Molly
And I said he's the highest paid quarterback in
In
the league.
5
He'll be the
seasons,
same
in the
age.
last 5
That
seasons.
was your fault. Go
It's
ahead.
facts.
In the last 5 seasons in the NFL since 2017, Tom Brady has the most touchdown passes in that span. You know who's number 2? Russell freaking Wilson.
We didn't say he can't play. We didn't say he's not great. What we're talking about is over the next 5 years.
Why are you taking Justin Herbert then? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Excuse me. In the first 2 years in this league, what I've seen this brother do, I'm very impressed with Justin Herbert. I'm impressed with Joe Burrow. I'm impressed with Patrick Mahomes. I'm impressed with Josh Allen. And Russell Wilson is now in the same conference as all of them. So in order for him to have a successful 5-year run, he got to go through all of them. And I didn't even bring up Lamar Jackson. I didn't even bring up Lamar Jackson now. You like Derek Carr. I didn't bring him up, okay? I'm just saying. You look at all of these guys within the same conference.
No.
I am answering the question. Because you're playing against somebody. You ain't playing against yourself.
So, but Justin Herbert's got to play against the same guys.
And I'm just saying to you, I believe, because I think Justin Herbert, is going this way.
And you don't think Russell Wilson is still going to play?
No, I think Russell Wilson.
Justin Herbert's going this way. Russell's here.
I think Russell Wilson is here, but I think he is what he is. So I think he goes this way.
And
But I'm looking at Herbert.
He's right.
Dan,
Climbing.
how
Burrow,
5 years is
climbing.
the problem.
Josh
The
Allen,
5 years.
climbing.
Dan, how
For
many
5 years.
victory laps did you take on quarterbacks? Matthew Stafford. There was a
Joseph
few
Burrow.
others. Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
How many others did you have to school them on?
I mean, 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, so
at
what's
least.
the date today? March 9th. We
Yeah.
should save this tape. 'Cause
Oh, please do. Tanucci, please do. You will as well. We'll bring it back.
Everybody's wrote
you
off
still-
Russell Wilson
No, I
because you know what?
disagree.
I kept saying I want him on the Giants. And a lot of the analysts here were like, no, you don't want Russell Wilson.
We didn't say that. That's a lie.
No.
Molly lying.
I
Molly
said
is
a lot
lying.
of the
You still haven't
analysts.
answered my question of why Justin Herbert. You just rattled off all the other guys in
He's
the AFC.
23, 24
Yeah,
years
'cause they don't
of
have a
age.
reason
Aaron
why.
Rodgers is won back-to-back MVPs at 38.
All right, fine.
I gotta-
Did Wilson play great last year?
No.
He didn't. He did not play great. Did he play well against the Rams? He did
No.
not.
How was
so we're
his
talking
team?
about a quarterback who's 33 years of age, 34 in November, who could be plateauing on the way downward, and we know how great Herbert is.
Mad Dog, how was his team, though?
I'm looking at a quarterback. I'm trying to find out his age. He's 23 years. I just looked up. He's 23.
Herbert, yeah.
I'm looking at a Justin Herbert who's 23 years of age.
Right.
That has thrown for over 8,000 yards in his first 2 seasons
Right.
in the National Football League, 69 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. His coaches were Anthony Lynn and Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking either of them. Both of them were first-time head coaches.
Knock Staley
devoid of
all you want.
You
experience,
talk like
etc.
Russell
I mean,
Wilson been playing with Bill Walsh.
Hold on.
Russell Wilson's been playing with Pete Carroll.
Time.
Pete Carroll, national champion at USC.
Who all
Super
he
Bowl
wants to do
champion
is
in Seattle.
stand up and turn up.
So we just
Hand the
so
ball
we
off.
just Pete Carroll now. So we disrespect.
No, what I'm telling you is
Excuse me?
philosophically, Pete Carroll wants to believe in great defense, run the football. Great defense, run the football. Justin Herbert's got a coach who on every 4th down wants to go for it.
Excuse me. Justin Herbert is playing, as far as I'm concerned, despite a great coach. Now, you consider, I'm not saying Brandon Staley won't be that, but what I'm saying to you, he certainly is not there yet.
I agree
You
with
look
that.
at Justin Herbert and what he's bringing to the table. 6'6" dude with that arm in pressure situations, take his game against the Raiders.
He's a stud.
The guy's a stud, and he's 23. And you're telling me a guy that's 11 years older for the next 5 years,
can't do
you
the
rolling
5
with that.
You
Come
can't.
on, man. Come on, man.
Because
You
of
know,
his.
what?
How many
What?
guys in the NFL
What?
at that position have we seen play well into their mid to late
But
30s?
he's not.
well?
He did not play well last year.
Mad
He
Dog.
has to
Wasn't a
come
good
into
team.
it.
Mad
team
Dog.
wasn't
His
that good.
team,
Yeah.
talent-wise, first of all, Tyler Lockett
And
missed
they're
some
in the
time.
NFC West.
Their tailback and their offensive line
tell if the
stinks.
quarterback is playing well despite the team not being very good.
This
You
was
can
what I
tell.
said this morning. This is what I said, and I know he's not that guy. I remember 2 off seasons ago or 3 off seasons ago now, many people were saying Tom Brady can't play anymore. He's not the Tom Brady of old. And I would repeatedly say it is a dependent position. He does not have the necessary people around him to depend on to play well. He goes to Tampa Bay. He's got that. All of a sudden, people are like, why is he retiring? He's still MVP level football. Matthew Stafford last offseason. Everyone says he can't play. And I go, he's at the Rams now. He's got talent and scheme.
Okay, hold that thought, because I need to get in a break. Do you want to come back to this?
It's fine.
Okay.
Let's do that because he's lying.
Much more.
What am I lying
much
about?
more
about
first
Brady?
take. Let's
I didn't say
roll
you
the
did. I
bumps
said
here.
you-
Looking to get back on the winning track after Coach K's final game at Cameron Indoor. He was not happy. Spoiled by their rival Tar Heels. Coach K's final ACC tournament run starts tomorrow. Stephen A., would you like to see Coach K go out with a title?
I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love to see him go out and win a national championship, because of what he's meant to the game, to be quite honest with you. And I think that it would be a phenomenal story. And this kid, Ben Kiro, I'm a huge, huge fan of his. He can really ball. I think he's got tremendous potential on the next level. But let's face reality. You got, when you're on top, a lot of people throw shade at you. A lot of people hate on you. And that's certainly been the case with Coach K and Duke. And there's been plenty of programs that I've wanted to win more than Duke over the years. I've always been a fan of North Carolina, particularly when Roy Williams was coaching them, but obviously, especially with the Dean Smith era, the Dean Smith days. I used to love Georgia Tech when they had Lethal Weapon 3, Kenny Anderson, Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver. I loved UNLV when they had Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and Greg Anthony and Anderson Hunt and the crew. I loved the Georgetown, the Hoyer Paranoia, the Bad Boys, 40 Minutes of Hell with Nolan Richardson and Corliss Williamson and the crew. I loved all of that, and I wanted all of those programs to win ahead of Duke, even when they had Grant Hill and UNLV, and they knocked off UNLV in the Final Four. I was depressed about that because I wanted UNLV to win the national championship with Tarkanian and the crew. But I would never diminish a scintilla of respect for the great Coach K and what he has meant to college basketball. And they wet the bed against North Carolina. They got smoked in the second half. They slept on Carolina because they blew them out at the Dean Dome a few weeks earlier, and they thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and all the pressure was on the kids because it's Coach K's last game at Cameron Indoor, all of this other stuff. But in the end, Coach K is great for college basketball. And for him to go out as a champion, to me, reminds everybody of what college basketball is supposed to be about. And I love that. And I hope Duke wins. I don't think they will. There's a few teams standing in their way now, and it is March Madness. But I think their chances actually improved now that they got smacked around by North Carolina.
I agree with a lot with what he said. I think that Coach K will have a very good ACC tournament, which begins for him tomorrow. Yeah. I did not like the way they handled it last Saturday. I'm embarrassed to lose to North Carolina. This is North Carolina. It's beaten Duke 45 times, and Coach K was unable. Now, you can make an argument it shows you his greatness because how much he was upset that he lost.
Yeah.
But Coach K was unable in that 15-minute gap before we got to the little rehearsal, the celebration, to separate the loss from his party. And he went to the microphone. He basically got on the crowd and everything else. That did not go over well in America because people looked at Coach K as almost like a sore loser.
Oh,
Mike, you won the ACC regular season. You're an all-time great. And I understand he was more annoyed about the loss, but he was a little rough. And plus, the coaches didn't shake Hubert Davis's hand on the handshake line.
Yeah, that's weak sauce.
And that was Chris Carrawell blowing him off like that. Those don't look at him. That's Hubert Davis. And he's a good man.
That
was not good either.
Yeah, and an assistant coach doing that.
Yeah.
Is
Two of them.
It's ridiculous.
Two of them. So I was down on that.
It's ridiculous.
Look at me. Come on. Even Hubert said, what are you doing? I just think that Coach K set a bad tone at the conclusion of that game. Now, I love him like you do. So I hate to even say this, but that was a big theme on the radio all week.
When he shushed the crowd? And
I'm embarrassed, quote unquote.
He should have been.
He didn't lose to Wagner. He lost to North Carolina.
Excuse me. They just waxed them a few weeks earlier.
All right.
By the way, but I'll tell you where you're wrong about this. He should have been upset because they did that to the kids. They're kids, right? They're not grown professionals. They're not seasoned. They're kids, right? You imagine how much pressure was on them that particular game? That's more pressure than actually going out there and playing. It's his last home game and all the pomp and circumstance that came with it being Coach Gay's last. I mean, you could blame ESPN for Duke losing as much as you could blame the players. I mean, it's just the truth.
And that's why they won't win.
What do you mean that's why they won't win?
Because the pressure of winning games. How about if they're down at the half? In the round of 16, they're down 8, 9 points.
You know what?
They're going to be so tight because they know it's his last game.
But I will tell you this. It was more, I think that, again, there was more pressure on them to win the last home game. Anything happens with March Madness. Anything can happen in the NCAA tournament. We know that. But you was not supposed to lose. You were not supposed to lose the last game at Cameron Indoor Stadium for Coach K to North Carolina.
It's North Carolina. You're making it sound like you lost to Virginia.
Listen,
sorry.
North Carolina's 23.
They don't have to take it back to anybody.
North Carolina's 23-8 this year. Hubert Davis is doing a good job. But let's face reality. This ain't the days of Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, Raymond Felton, Kenny Smith, Michael Jordan, Sam Perkins, James Worthy, all of that. I mean, as long as even the days with Roy Williams winning national championships. This is not what's going on in North Carolina right now. You're supposed to handle your business if you're Duke in that last game.
Duke losing to North Carolina is not embarrassing. Under any circumstances, I don't care if Carolina's 5 and 20. They're 8 miles apart.
How you lost? Not that you lost.
Hey, you got beat. You can live with it. You got beat.
It's an overtime thriller. It's sensational. That's different. When you get smacked around in the second half the way that they did, that's a different animal. They got outscored 55-4
I disagree. I completely disagree.
Come on.
I mean, you got to act.
You know that.
Hey, you got 15 minutes screaming, yell all day. The next day at the practice, kill your kids all night. Let them run suicides. When that game is over and you got 15 minutes to calm down, you go take the field again. You know what he made it sound like? It was beneath Duke to lose to North Carolina. And it is never beneath Duke.
People don't like Duke.
That's the reason. Nice job right there. That's because Duke We're Duke and you're not.
Let me tell you something right now. Are you ready for this?
I am.
It was beneath Duke.
Oh, no, it is. No, it isn't.
That's not fair.
That they lost the game.
No, it's not fair.
Look at me. Time out. In the fashion that they lost. Again, you remember when Jerry Stackhouse catches the alley-oop and you got pushy games into overtime. You remember the thrillers. The only time the North Carolina Tar Heels have stunk up the joint is when obviously was it Matt Doherty or what?
Yeah, he was bad. Doherty.
He was horrible. He didn't need to be the coach.
After Guthridge left.
After Guthridge, right. So what I'm saying is, outside of that, it's always a thriller. Always. North Carolina, best rivalry in sports. You can book it. It's going to be a thriller. That was not a thriller. North Carolina smacked them around on the day that Duke. It was how they lost. And that was beneath Duke.
Fine, you don't scream all you want. He's got 15 minutes to calm down. You don't go out there and basically tell the fans, you know what, be quiet, I'm talking.
Excuse me.
You don't do that.
Excuse me. He's 75
He can do what he wants. He's Mike Krzyzewski.
He's not you. He's not me. He's 75 years old. He can't be raising his voice like that. He needed them to quiet down so they can hear him. What's wrong with that? It's not a crime. It's not a crime. It's not a crime.
Quote unquote embarrassed to lose.
He should have been. It wasn't.
That was
Let me be very clear. Duke should have been embarrassed by that second half performance. They should have been embarrassed.
They had a bad last 5 minutes. Let's calm down. They didn't lose by 40 in the second half.
Excuse me. They lost by 15. That felt like 40.
All right. They had a bad last 5 minutes. It was a 4-point game.
Felt like that. Excuse me. It's Mike Krzyzewski's last game.
And I love him. I hate to say this.
At Cameron Indoor, your team is supposed to play better than that.
Steve, North Carolina needed the game to seal an NCAA berth. That's number one. Number two, they're coming off a 30-point loss when Duke walked in there at the Dean Dome right after the Super Bowl and destroyed them.
That's right.
And they had heard about, that's a tremendous bulletin board scenario. Let's spoil Mike Krzyzewski's last game at Cameron. Those guys were wild, that North Carolina team. I knew Carolina. It was an 11.5-point spread. I knew Carolina was going to play well in that game. I said, there's no way that Duke's going to blow North Carolina out. Carolina lost by 30. They need the game for the NCAA tournament. They're going to be wild animals in this game. So how are you surprised?
You're not hearing me. I'm not talking about them losing the game. But you do not get outclassed, which is why...
Last 5 minutes, okay.
Well, Coach K didn't feel that way. He's the coach. He believes they got outclassed in the second half. Those were his words, not mine. And my point to you is that with that being the case, that matters. And then it's the last home game. It's the last game of my career at Cameron Indoor Stadium. and you go out like that in the second half, they'd have been running suicide still. I still have.
Well, I mean, it's going to help Duke because Duke's now going to be playing great.
That's what
they're
I'm
going to be.
saying.
But
And
I'll
they
say
got
one
a
thing.
chance. They got a chance.
This is where I totally disagree with them.
Yeah.
Duke in a tournament game against a good team. If they're in trouble in the second half with that freshman, or those freshmen who are good, but they're freshmen.
Yeah.
When they're playing for his last ever game, they are going to be tight as you could ever believe. They are not going to win because of that.
I don't deny that. What I'm saying to you is this. I do believe this game, this loss, is going to help them.
I agree.
Because I think the kind of pressure they felt last weekend,
All right.
courtesy of everybody, all of us are guilty of that. The pressure that they put on those kids, I think that gone through that makes them better prepared for the tournament. I believe that.
I think it makes them better prepared. We can swim there to the Barclays. I think it makes them better the next 3-4 games. I don't know if
Guess
it makes
what?
them better
I
in
would
2
never
weeks.
advise
Guess what? I don't care
anybody
about
to swim
Barclays.
in the East River.
Yeah, that's
I
good
would
too.
never do that.
I care about what's happening at Madison Square Garden. That'll be the Big East tournament.
Big East.
That will be UConn. That's what I care about.
The
Okay?
Big East.
Oh,
Yeah.
please. This hasn't been the
Is
big-
Ewing gonna win a
It's
game, by the
gonna
way?
be- No.
Still to come
No,
on
he's-
for back position. So that got us thinking. A-list.
That's right. It's time for Stevens A-list. You know what time it is. Remember, the list is fluid. It's fluid. Right now, this is what we're talking about. Top 5 quarterbacks in the AFC. I ain't talking resume. I'm not talking credentials. I'm talking talent. Talent. The top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Let's go to number 5 on the list. In the AFC, I'm sorry. Let's go to number 5. It's Russell Wilson. He's in the AFC right now. I got him at number 5. Why? Because we know what this brother can do throwing the football. But more importantly, the decision making, his ability to extend plays, we can't ignore that. We can't leave Russell Wilson out of the top 5 with the things that we have seen him do. He's number 5 on the list. Let's go to number 4 on the list. Please give it to me right here. Bam! Justin Herbert. Why? 23 years of age, has thrown for over 8,000 yards. Fresh off a 5,000-yard passing season. 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. I can't ignore that, Mad Dog Russo. I can't ignore that. He's number 4 on the list. Let's go to number 3. Can't be top 3. You know why? Boom! Because Joe Burrow is top 3. The brother just took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl. I can't deny that. Okay? Beat Patrick Mahomes in order to pull it off. I can't deny that. Cincinnati's on the come up. They're relevant now in football vernacular because of that man right there, Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase got something to do with it. We know that. We get all of that. But it's about Joe Burrow. He ain't top 2, though. Give me top 2 right here, please. Give it to me. The one and only Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. The greatest fourth quarter I have ever seen in all my years of watching football. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills back and forth, tit for tat against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Should have won that game. Somebody should have been fired for not being able to stop the Kansas City Chiefs from getting in the field goal range with 13 damn seconds left. The Dallas Cowboys couldn't get off a snap in 14 seconds, but the Kansas City Chiefs got down the field, got a field goal range because of, I don't know how to explain it. Josh Allen is definitely a top 2 quarterback. He ain't number 1, no, in the AFC. We know who number 1 is. It is Mr. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs. We know how electrifying this brother is. We've seen how spectacular he can be. We understand that he lost to Joe Burrow. We understand he almost lost to Josh Allen. But when you look at the totality of what this man has been able to do, there is no getting around it. I know I left Lamar Jackson off the list because he's an electrifying runner at the quarterback position. I still need him to see to throw the ball better from the pocket. That's what I need to see from him, but maybe it's because of the personnel he doesn't have available to him. Only has 1 playoff victory. I'm still of the mindset, though, he's on the top 6, not top 5. These are the top 5 quarterbacks in the AFC as of right now. But remember, the list is fluid. We'll see what happens as the season progresses.
All right, now, we discussed this already today.
Okay.
You can't put Herbert over Wilson when Wilson's won a Super Bowl and Herbert is not. And Herbert's never won a playoff game and Wilson's won.
I said talent. I didn't say resume. I specifically said talent. I said talent.
Come on, Stevie.
That's what I'm doing.
You do talent.
It's
You're talking about who you take right now if your life is on the line. So you have to put Wilson over Herbert. And I love Herbert like you do. We just had to be killed Dolowski, whatever his name is. We destroyed him. You have to put him 4, and you got to put Herbert 5. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to do something else for you.
Okay.
All right? Because I'm annoyed at how poorly he played. And you're going to get annoyed by this, but I'm going to do it just for the heck of it.
Oh, Lord.
And Buffalo's going to love me.
Oh, goodness.
I'm going to put Josh Allen, number 1, and I'm going to put Mahomes.
You can't do that.
Yes, I am.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that.
He is directly, completely responsible for that loss against Cincinnati. There is no getting around it. He
But
killed
he
them at
beat
the end of the
Josh
first
Allen.
half. He barely. He beat the defense. He beat. You know who he beat? He beat the coach. That's who. Squib kick it for crying out loud with 13 seconds left. He beat McDermott. He didn't beat Allen. So to make this to annoy you, I am going to put Mahomes down at 2. That second half, and you know I'm right. That performance against Cincinnati
was not good.
abominable.
It was not good.
Oh, he killed them.
But it's the same guy that's been the 4 straight AFC championship
I understand
games,
that.
that's been the back-to-back Super Bowl.
But
that's won the
I
Super Bowl championship,
said
that just came back the week earlier against Josh Allen.
You did say it was fluid.
I mean, come on.
You did say it was fluid. So I am going to put Josh Allen here, and I'm going to put Mahomes there just to annoy you. So I'm going to put Allen 1, Mahomes 2, Ali Burrow 3.
Okay.
You're the same guy who had Cincinnati not as a threat at the beginning of the show today, and now you got Burrow as the third-best quarterback in the count. That's the strangest
Yeah,
fucking I've ever heard in my life.
hey, Dan Orlovsky just sent a message. He's like, oh, now he likes Joe Burrow.
No, I like Burrow. Oh, talking about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will switch because of resume. I will switch these two. Not a bad list. Not terrible.
Listen.
It's not terrible.
If we go on resume,
You don't got
I
Zach
take
Wilson
Russell
on here.
If we take resume, I put Russell Wilson ahead of Justin Burrow. Hell, I could put him ahead of Joe Burrow.
You can.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, I'm just thinking about talent perspective. What I'm seeing right now, moving forward, these 5 quarterbacks are the order that I would have them in.
Yeah, listen, you got the
Moving
right
forward.
5. You don't got Baker Mayfield in here. You got the right 5.
Lamar Jackson, you can make a legitimate argument.
You
for
could.
Lamar
I got to
Jackson.
see him win a playoff game.
I gotta see him win. He's won 1 playoff game.
Yeah,
I gotta see him win more than 1 playoff game.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
But I'm gonna, I can't get past that awful, and he's making $440 million.
So what? Why you keep bringing up the money? Why you keep bringing up the money? Why you keep bringing up the money?
But I can't.
And you ain't broke last time I checked,
that's true.
Mr. Own Channel.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
I'm a little older, so I've been able to save a
That's
little
right.
more.
That's right.
Anyway,
That's right.
I'll switch these 2, and I'll switch these 2.
Right.
Other than that, you're not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
We all right?
Okay, we all right. We all right.
All
I
yours,
don't
Tim.
agree
Yeah.
with you, but at least you agree with my list.
Yeah, I can't disagree
At
with
least
them.
you agree.
You know what we need?
All right.
We need that to be able to move around so you can correct it. That's
Yeah,
what I'm going to work
that's
on
fine.
for next time. So
Right.
he can move the numbers
That's
and
right.
get it right for you visually.
That's right. I understand.
All right, whatever.
okay. It's
So
okay.
come on, First Take.
Am I
I
supposed
can't
to
wait
think
for
that
this.
you want to do me a favor? Am I